Hello, and welcome to Pandering Hour.
Deal with it.
Oh!
Never do this. Never, ever. Not a good idea. Don't do this. This is way better. Top 10 killer cucks. If you like putting stuff in your butt, that is your right. And don't worry about straight or gay. It's not about that. It's about your own satisfaction. For you. For us, you're gay. Hello. Welcome back to Pandering Hour. I am your host, Anthony Martin, and today on Pandering Hour, we are going to be talking about Cuba. Now, the thing about, by the way, Trump won. Now, the thing about Cuba, but also he won. He won. I don't want to say I saw it coming. He won. We're gonna leave it on that. Not because I'm afraid of politics, not because what am I supposed to say, but because it's not interesting. Like, yeah, he won. It's like a landslide victory. What was it? Let me pull that up. 2024 presidential election. Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought it was like 270 to something. I remember it being 226 when I kept checking it. I was like, it got to 226, and it was like, Trump is 228. Oh, it's going to be close. And then it just like, wah! Yeah. Hold on. This is kind of predictable. Hawaii was blue. Makes sense. Wow. 30% for Trump. Interesting. Alaska. I know a couple people from Alaska. That makes a lot of sense. Wait, hold on. That doesn't... Oh, I was going to say 55 and 40 doesn't make 100. That makes sense. 40% in Oregon? That's interesting, because it's only 30 in Washington. Oh, no, it's 40. 40. Okay, it was pretty close here. Not really, actually. I take that back. Yeah, West Coast. That's where I am. 58, 66, 50, 52, 59, 70 is crazy. Wyoming was 70 for Trump. Dude, that is pretty nuts. You'd expect Texas to be like, all the way, man, all the way, man. But no, Wyoming is red as hell. Michigan, Iowa, yeah, wow. This is pretty interesting. Florida was closer. Wow. 70. What was that? West Virginia? How is that even a state still? What is even in West Virginia? Was that Ohio? Ohio is way over there. How is Ohio Midwestern when it's like it's right next to Pennsylvania? Wow. No one was 70% for Kamala. Wow. But I feel like I was getting that. He got shot at. I think that's the main reason why. When you shoot at a guy, you just kind of show that, like, I don't know. He all of a sudden becomes associated with some of the greatest presidents in history because he was shot at. The most notorious shooting in the world, JFK, and what else? Like, the good guy always gets shot. The bad guy never gets shot. That's kind of what we learned. Especially in media in general, we portray, like, and then what's going to happen? Well, they're going to shoot him. It's going to happen. And he's going to go out there and he's going to get shot because that's what the hero does. And... I'm not saying that's what happened, but because he was shot at, that's what it looks like now. It was more of like a, it was more of just like a, like just more panicked, and then it turned into yeah, they shot me, and I think that's what I'm gonna do what's right for this country, and like, well, okay, let's go back to Cuba. Let's go back to where I'm safe. The safe talking points, Cuba. I'm seeing some of these pictures. Cuba looks way more advanced than I was expecting. And I know I say that about pretty much every country, but I'm learning something about cities, which is like I bet most of Cuba looks like this and this. Oh man, that is beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? That looks like straight out of Dragon Ball Z. That's where Gohan trained. Hold on. Gohan training. I need like a bigger... Where's the one where Gohan chased by dinosaur? That's what this place looks like. That's what it looks like this. And that's where he was chased. It was right there. Okay. But then right here, like, look at that. That looks... I'm getting, like, France vibes. I'm getting Florida. It looks good. It looks good. The water is right on the promenade. Like, it is right there. That's very, very close. And, by the way, there's been a lot of, like, natural disasters hitting Cuba. They got hit with a 6.9 and also a hurricane. So we're going to talk about that later. But, I mean, look at this building. That looks beautiful. And then it's just, the cages on all the windows. I mean, who wants to live in a place where there's cages on all the windows? Speaking of that, you know, all the banks in Portland boarded up. All the banks in Portland are boarded up. And it's almost like, did they know? Because I feel like if they didn't know, now I'm getting very conspiratorial, where it's like, the banks knew who was going to win the election, man. The goddamn banks knew. They rigged the election. The banks wanted Trump to win. Okay, we'll pull it up in maps, because I wanna jump around. But we're gonna look around. So the first thing I want to talk about are like the boxers. There have been some very, very good boxers coming out of Cuba. But none of them that I recognize right away. Maybe I was wrong. I mean, a lot of old-timey boxers, like people used to box way back in the day, where they're in black and white now. But there is a definitive Cuban style of boxing. And it's a Soviet style, right? Cuban style of boxing is a graceful, tactical, and precise style that emphasizes defense and counterattacks over offense. Cuban boxers are known for their footwork, evasiveness, and ability to manage distance. Some key aspects of Cuban boxing include footwork, defense, counter, pawing, jab, disrupt rhythm to set up bigger punches, and head movement. Let me see if I can... Here we go. I am not brought to you by whatever this is. I'm going to get in a little closer. I'm not brought to you by these people. These people can eat my nuts. These people are muted. Don't drink their alcohol. Drink the other kind of alcohol. Oh, I've watched this video before.
How the Cubans change angles and escape so you can
Look at this guy punching in the dark. What? Can you turn the light on?
Appear like a magician in the ring like Andy Cruz. The Cubans have elevated the art of boxing to a level uniquely their own. A harmonious fusion of athleticism and artistry that leaves spectators spellbound. With each graceful move, they conjure a sense of wonder, as if defying the laws of physics with their unparalleled mastery of angles and escapes, forever pondering an enigma of what just transpired. In the ring, they are like phantoms, leaving opponents and onlookers alike in a state of awe. A testament to their mastery of the sweet science and their place as true masters. I'm in a right-handed orthodox stance right now. I'm going to switch and split my feet into a southpaw stance, and then I'm going to shift back into my original right-handed stance. Okay, let's break this down a bit.
I said yep just because I know that move. I've been boxing for a little while. I box on and off with I typically my boxing training is mostly independent, but then I go through periods of like 6 months, 3 to 6 months where I'm training regularly with one or more other people, and it's usually people who train all the time. I guess for the last 2 years, all I've been doing, all my workouts have been somewhat boxing related. Like I incorporate it into everything, all of my training for the last 2 to 3 years. Where now, like, I'll do a kettlebell routine where it's like 3 minutes on with the kettlebell and then 3 minutes of shadow boxing, and so forth. Where now I do two like calisthenics workouts, like push-ups or squats, pull-ups, something like that, and then I'll do 3 minutes on the bag. And it's important to continue your individual progress because your jab, I went and I trained with somebody. I had a terrible jab for like way longer than I'm supposed to. But then my buddy, I trained with someone who was more of a MMA guy, and he had a wicked jab. He fixed my jab. He showed me a couple things. I trained on that, and then when I went to go spar people, I noticed I had the best jab in the gym, and even my buddies were saying, like, dude, your jab is super hard to get around, and I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, that should have been the first thing I had done. But the first thing I had done, what was my first skill that I developed? I'm good in the, what's it called? Like, when you're just like, when both people are just throwing punches, and it's just like bam, 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 bam. I'm pretty good in that situation. I'd say that's because that's what I trained to do initially, is just don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. And then I tried to get overly technical, and that just, I avoided those situations, and you can avoid them. But this drill, there's a drill I do where I shift my weight back and forth because I switch stances. I initially started learning how to kickbox, and it's more advantageous to switch stances in kickboxing, and so that, like, you have to switch stance to throw the kick. Like, a switch kick is like an essential skill, and I just incorporated that into my boxing footwork.
To shift back into my original right-handed stance. Okay, let's break this down a bit more into steps. I'm going to split.
I want to know what's under that headband. Like, what's his hairline like under there?
My feet at the same time as each other, just like that, where my front foot is in the back now and my back foot is in the front. Now from here, my head is off. I'm now in a southpaw stance. Okay, so it starts off by using that switch step. Now I'm going to shift this foot here and this foot over here at the same time, landing, being ready to punch, being ready to defend.
The key to that is definitely balance. I feel like I'm not a professional, but I've noticed that the key to that is balance. Your ability to remain balanced as you switch stances and then shift your weight into a different position. If you're unbalanced and you throw a punch, it's gonna be limp. It's gonna be lacking power and accuracy, and it's more likely going to throw you off balance. In which case, if you get punched while you're off balance, you can't use your legs or anything to really receive the force directed at your face. So remaining balanced is the main thing.
This gives us just a lot of options. Things to watch out for with this one. The Cubans like to have their hands slapping into the ground.
Okay,
I'm light
he
on
needs
my
to
toes with
shut
this.
up.
I'm nice and
He needs to just show how. Hold on.
A performance that truly
Not brought to you by the Asian acrobatic thing of China. What is this called? Shenyun. Not brought to you by Shenyun. Okay. Oh, this guy looks legit.
Analyzing Cuban boxing training. I feel like a big mistake that many coaches make is they go, oh, okay, I'm from Japan.
Oh, hold on. That's sick.
Adapted their style
That's a
to
sick
now be
drill.
A little bit more like them, but I know from watching them and then being at MMA gyms and kickboxing gyms that they are doing things very different. In Thailand, I'm going to train that many coaches
That drill right there, touch the ground and throw your hand up, that is sick as hell. Hold on, I love that drill.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are analyzing Cuban boxing.
Like that, I've done that. That helps you with your coordination and balance. Like I said.
Training. I feel like
yeah, you know, hitting mitts with the gloves on, also very good. But that, I've never seen that.
Coaches make is they go, oh, okay, I'm from Japan. I'm going to train like a Japanese fighter. I'm from Thailand. I'm going to train like a Muay Thai fighter. So many people don't look to other countries to look and see what they're doing with their fighting skills. And the Cubans have been crushing it for years in amateur boxing. So to not look at what they're doing and try to incorporate some of it into our own training seems absolutely foolish. They have so many medals, gold medals in particular, that they just stack up, and you just have to look at their training for a moment and go, oh, these guys are doing things a little bit different. Of course, many gyms around the world will have adapted their style to now be a little bit more like them, but I know room, but as they hit one section, they put their hands up and they do their fast spins. Why are they doing this? It's to recreate the little dizziness that happens when you get rocked. That's what I understand they're doing, because I've been to other gyms before where they have you do this, but doing it while you're running is going to help your footwork. You're going to get to learn to move when you're a little bit dizzy and off balance. And of course, like I said, that is to help recreate that motion of you getting tagged, being like, whoa, I'm stunned, but still being able to utilize movement still. Now, as I went around and gathered a bunch of clips of Cubans training, I noticed there's a lot of shadow boxing, but it's not the way that I shadow, which is like, I'm going, always trying to stay active. These guys are focused on lots of movement. They're focused on getting good technique. Once they throw, they get back to movement. They take
That's how I shadow box.
Take their time, and they're trying to be very precise.
When I shadow box, I try and move as much as I can, because I'm trying to tire myself out. Because the main thing when you start sparring, that I've noticed when I've trained a lot of people from like I've taught the basics probably like 20 times to my friends. When I was a personal trainer, I taught people the basics, just like here is how you jab. You want it to be invisible. You want it to be a straight line when you move. You want to remain balanced as you shift your weight. You want to keep your hands up. All these things. And I've met people who, when they shadow box, it's just a straight blast of fists, which is not bad, but it's just different. It prioritizes your ability to punch rather than your ability to move, which is valid. But if you're not able to hit the guy that you're trying to throw all these punches at, then you're just losing stamina.
Precise in executing their
Cardio kickboxing is a lot of that.
Their game plan, which when you watch Cubans is to move around, stay at their distance, hit, get back to movement. That's what these guys are doing as they do their shadow. And I think that does reinforce for some of you guys that when you are doing your shadow boxing, it should be a time to really hone in on your technique and not try and just wail away and get really wild. The next clip we'll
always work on throwing a fast hook and returning to guard, because my hooks kind of suck. I have strong hooks, but I feel like they've just never gotten as tight as I wish they were. And so I focus on throwing like a snapping lead hook and then returning to block. So I'll shadow box like a 1-2 dip, 3 dip, like one of those.
What we're looking at is some sparring, but these guys are doing what I call body boxing. They're only hitting the torso. And the reason this is great is because you can spar without taking head impacts. So you're not worried about long-term damage or concussions consistently getting worse. These guys can stand on the inside. They can work on, okay, I just got hit, but getting good counters back. And they can work on closing off those little spaces. This is a fantastic way to train. And I don't do it too often. But when my brother and I were training before pretty much every day, 5 days a week, we would add this in at least 2 or 3 times so we could really hone in on some faster speed than we would normally do when we're throwing headshots in sparring.
With the power, I get all my
ads, one letter away from AIDS. Get it out of here.
Pause between clips to give a shout out to X Marshall. They have been sponsoring this channel for a while. This type of stuff where somebody's moving around and they're going to touch, and then they're coming out with a punch, going to touch, coming out with a punch.
That's really good.
I can assume that this is number 1, to condition the legs a little bit.
Because you have to, yeah.
But more so to be like, oh, okay, we're just going to over embellish the slip. Instead of thinking this, we're going to get right down so that when we get used to this motion, just doing that is so much easier. And I really like his speed. He's going right from here. He's coming down, touch, down, touch. Looks really good. Looks like fantastic training. And it's something that I'm already thinking, ooh, maybe I should start adding this in because I feel a little sluggish when I go through this motion compared to him. And I think I can really improve my ability to drop and get back up if I actually train like that. In addition, we're going to see
another great way to develop your ability to drop like that is just doing an insane amount of reps with bodyweight squats and lunges. Like if you lunge super deep, like you are go into a lunge and then try and get your crotch to the ground and just hold that stretch on each rep. If you do like 100 of those, your legs are going to be blasted, which is why I prefer to do just a bodyweight squat instead of a lunge because I hate lunges. But lunges are better for balance, so I do try and incorporate them more. But just like bodyweight squats, if you just try and rep out 100, it's not that hard if you are already lifting weights, but that helps your ability to dip straight down becomes way better. But it has to be ass to grass. Like you have to go all the way ass to grass in your squat for you to get that kind of development.
a lot of footwork. As I collected footage, I noticed a lot of the fighters just moving around, getting their sideways motions in, and just being very light on their feet. I feel like a lot of boxers will tell you skipping is a massive priority. And while I haven't seen a lot of footage of the Cubans skipping, I see them essentially doing the same thing without the rope, just moving around. They'll do all sorts of things. This guy in particular, at the end of a session, just getting a lot of just moving the leg around, little circles, bouncing on one foot. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of calf workouts here, and you're going to develop those muscles.
Amazing.
But you're also just getting a massive amount of coordination that comes with doing this type of stuff, and that's what you want. Just lots of
I'll do something similar where I'll mostly be prioritizing like bouncing on my left foot, and with my right I'll go front, left, diagonal, back, diagonal, switch, like rotate, pivot forward, pivot back, and then I switch to the other leg where it's forward, side, back, diagonal, pivot forward, pivot back, and then I switch stances. But that seems even better because you're throwing your body weight off. That's so good.
Coordination. Once again, now we get him moving from side to side, touching the ground, just so he's getting those legs fast and explosive. Like I've already said, Cubans rely heavily on movement. So if you're able to get down to the side, touch and
I gotta get a boxing gym. I keep trying to find a good one, but they're expensive, and they usually don't have weights. And it's just, I just need a good one.
explode out. Then when you just have to make those small transitions, maybe with a little head movement, it'll seem so easy. And then we start to see him bust into some fancy footwork patterns, just stuff like that. Look at, we heard years ago about Lomachenko being pulled from boxing and having to go in and do dancing for a number of years, strictly because of the footwork. When you see these guys move and they're doing their thing, looks a little bit like dancing. The funny thing is I am not comfortable dancing. I feel very uncomfortable doing it, but if somebody said to me this type of thing, so I just think that this movement and this similarity to dance just shows you how important it is to get solid footwork. Next up, I found this clip of these guys on this. So the next one hits, switches directions. Again, so focused on hitting and
That
moving.
is
hitting and
genius!
moving. Footwork is
Oh my god! That is the most frustrating part of my training when I'm going left and right, is that like wherever I go, I have to like so if it's only one bag, right, like that's right here, I have to throw like a bunch of punches over here and then move and then land those punches. Versus I can move left, hit, move right, hit. There's always something for me to hit. If it's one bag, if I go left, I always have to come back right. Or I have to start where there's no bag and move to the bag to hit it.
Again, so focused on.
I feel like it takes away my reactiveness, and I have to like. I'm shadow boxing a lot when I'm hitting the bag, basically.
Hitting and moving. Footwork is always there. If I went to the gym and I saw somebody utilizing 5 bags at once, I would go, oh my gosh, what is this crazy person doing. But after you watch the Cubans doing it, you're like, okay, maybe there's a good place for that. If you have a few bags in a row and you're hitting and then moving, you get in front of the other one, you hit, you move. Yeah, if you're somebody who wants to stay mobile, I guess there is a good reason for doing that, for moving from bag to bag rapidly. And then next, we see this sort of helicopter apparatus that goes around. So as you hit the bag, you've got to follow it. And again, it's just gonna
that's
get your
good.
feet moving. You can't hit
That's
the bag and
so
just stay there.
good.
So many people will just hit the bag in place and never get any work done on moving
That's such a fucking cool machine.
backwards or forwards. But on this one now, you have to chase. And again, fantastic training. I would love to put something like this together in my backyard, some sort of creative bag work apparatus, because it's just going to help you in so many ways compared to a stationary bag. Next, we move into a room filled with younger kids who are all training. They all look very good, probably trying to build their way up to the national team, if not already on it. The first thing that we're going to note is they're doing a game of tag where they're trying to tap each other in the top of the head. No gloves. No, not worrying about like power, trying to hit each other hard. It's just a game. If the guy tries to slap you, you move. You're trying to get in, hit them in the top of the head, and all, once again, footwork based. If you get hit in the head, it's because you didn't move your feet. You could shift back a little bit, but I love this just slightly chill game of just tag, just moving around, getting used to throwing, but also reacting to an opponent across from you. Great work to do. I had my students do this the other day for the first time, and everybody looked like they were having a lot of fun. Now, right after that, they move into something that we were already doing, which is basically, we call it shadow sparring. Now, instead of tapping with the open hands to the top of the head, you create a little bit more distance. You move around. You can't touch the guy, but if you throw, they're going to be trying to react. If you throw and then they throw back, you're trying to react to it. So it's basically sparring from a distance. And again, I love it. Your knee, you got to take a step back or you got to hollow out, but you got to be able to get back. But nobody's
what was that drill?
getting a game of tag towards the knees. You see them get a little bit lower, moving around. If somebody tries to touch your knee, you got to take a step back or you got to hollow out, but you got to be able to get back and touch their knee. My one concern with this, which I mentioned when we tried this the other day in my kids' class, was the heads clashing. Two guys think, oh, okay, I'm going to reach, and they lean their head far forward. Yeah. There's the danger. Double head point. And somebody from a different country, I could be wrong, but their sparring is not crazy light. But you will note that the angles from the one guy in the Olympic jersey or the, Cuban
Okay, we're going to move on. I feel like we're spending way too... I'm super into this, so I could spend all day on that, and I'm going to subscribe. This guy's fucking awesome. But yeah, Cuban style boxing, I think it's also considered Soviet style. Cuban boxing, Soviet style. Cuban boxing style and Soviet boxing style are. What is the difference? Hold on. Versatility and tactical acumen emphasizes maintaining distance and strategic footwork and precise combinations. Jab heavy combinations. Yeah. Okay. But then also, so then Cuban boxing is more counter-heavy than Soviet? Because I know that Cuba had a Soviet influence, so I'm wondering if that had anything to do with that. Okay. Let's move on. We're going to talk about another big Cuban influence in America, Joey Diaz. Obviously, as a stand-up comedian, Joey Diaz is, he's crucial. If you consider Joe Rogan to be a crucial part of American culture, which I do, then Joey Diaz is, to a lesser degree, he owns a portion of that because of how relevant he is on the podcast. Not only on the podcast, but in stand-up and podcasting in general. I mean, he is beloved by people. So I don't know what to showcase about him. Because there's a lot of things we could talk... Ugh. Why does he look like... He looks... This has got to be... Joey Diaz in lead dress as Postman. What is this? This has to be... Yeah. This is AI. What is that? Like these like wavy wrinkle things. They look like a wave pool. I don't know how much I can actually show. He has a book. I can actually show about Joey Diaz because he is. Is there a Joey Diaz thing? Oh no. But the guy I kidnapped showed up to my show 32 years ago. I made a mistake. So what? It's not where you start, it's where you finish. I mean, that's pretty huge. You could tell he's still a little nervous. The thing about Joey Diaz that is relevant to me, I would say the impact he's had on me specifically is that he has a lot of stories, you know? Is that him in Boulder, Colorado? He has a lot of stories about doing crazy stuff, kidnapping a guy, lighting a hooker's wig on fire. And the way that's relevant to me is that I have a lot of crazy stories with my family. Like, so many crazy things that make me think, like, what he said about it is that, well, I tell you I robbed a hooker and set her wig on fire, and you tell me you robbed 10 hookers and set 10 wigs on fire. And I very much had that perspective of like, yeah, everyone's got a family member that's gone to jail, you know, and then like you have to help babysit and watch the kids. Like that's like a relevant thing in my life. Like, oh, well, yeah, everyone's had a family member where they needed to go stay at your house for a little while to get back on their feet, and then they stole something. Everyone, like I keep thinking that is apparently that's very different from other people's lives. But it is something that has happened. There is a section of America where that does happen. Section 8. No, that is a section of American culture, not American culture, but human. It's a very human experience. It's a very human family thing that happens. And it resonated with me that I had something that I could share with people that, one, was surprising to people, and two, could be appreciated. So that is where Joey Diaz has influenced me. Other than that, I don't know. I don't think I feel too confidently about his stand-up, but I love his stories. His stand-up as stories, probably the two best storyteller comedians are going to be Joey Diaz and Ali Sadiq. Those are the two guys. Like, Tom Segura might be top 10, but top 3 has to be Joey Diaz and Ali Sadiq. For me. Let's see. Yeah, he's been in movies, but I don't really care. The Flappers Comedy Club, yeah. I never saw him at Flappers Comedy Club, but apparently he was there a lot. And I was a host there, so. He's been in movies and whatnot, but let's go into some interesting facts about Cuba. Oh yeah, Cuban cigars, that's a big thing. Cuba, as it's officially known, the Republic of Cuba, blah blah blah. Locals endearingly call their island El Cocodrilo, the crocodile, a name that makes sense when you see Cuba's shape from above. Huh? It'll make sense when you look at it above. I don't see it. Feast together. Forget courses. Traditional Cuban food is served all at once. It's a delicious communal experience. Dominoes. Yeah, my family plays dominoes. It's a Latin thing. What's the difference between Latin and Hispanic? Between Latino, and Hispanic. Refers to people with ancestry from Spanish-speaking countries, including Spain, Caribbean, Latin American countries. Well, hold on. Hispanic refers to primary language of Latino refers to a person with origins from anywhere in Latin America, Mexico, South America, and Central America, and the Caribbean. So I'm Latino, and I'm not Hispanic. Hold on. Ancestry from a country whose primary language is Spanish. I'm both. Because my mom said that we have family that goes back to Spain. And then, obviously, my grandma's from Mexico. Who's not Hispanic and who is... Hold on. Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central American. So not... Okay, so then... Not Filipino. Are Filipinos Hispanic? Are Filipinos Hispanic? It depends on a matter of personal identity. You can be. You can say I'm. I don't. I feel like Filipinos more associate with Asians, but they're called the Latinos of Asia. That's funny. It's whatever. Moving on. Dual currency. They have CUC for tourists and CUP for locals, which is its own unique charm. Really? They have two currencies? Oh. Interesting. Cuban cuisine. It's like the normal stuff. There's nothing Cuban that would surprise me. They use different words, but it's still Spanish, you know. Philippines and Spain. Oh. Stewed beef, tomatoes, sofrito base. Okay. Arroz con pollo, Cuban sandwich. Whatever. Cuban sandwich is whatever, honestly. I'm not a big fan of sandwiches. Flan. Oh, I love flan. Lechon asado. Which means roast pork. Yeah, it's fine. Cuban chicken fricassee. Arroz con leche. I made arroz con leche. I have some. That looks like flan, but it's not flan. You know what's weird? I went to a Mexican bakery and they had flan. They had two different kinds of flan, and one was in a cup and one was in like a tray. And for some reason, the one in a cup tasted like shit, and the one in the tray tasted okay. It was okay, but it was kind of well. It was weird. Which they're both called flan, but it was two totally different things. Oh, they have a unique kind of hummingbird? Cuban hummingbird? Oh, that's so cute! Look at this little guy!
The smallest hummingbird, but
Look at this little guy! He's so pretty! Look at this little sweetie. Cuba does seem a little magical. And that's why it keeps getting hit with earthquakes. You need to get hit with natural disasters to keep the magic going. That must be the female. Because the males usually are like the ones with all the fancy colors. And, you know, with men and women, it's kind of similar, except instead of, like, women wear the fancy colors, and men have the fancy personalities. Misogyny. Let's move on. Coca-Cola is rare. It wasn't until 2008 that Cubans could buy their own computers. Oh, that sounds awful. I mean, here, it must be the same for Oregon, because in Oregon, people still do things by mail, and that drives me fucking insane. Like, the idea that I would trust a mailman with anything drives me up a wall. Like, why do I have to mail it to you? Why can't I just email it to you? Because when I email it to you, there's a digital receipt that shows that I sent it to you the second I send it to you. If you do not give me the correct email address, that's the same thing as you giving me an incorrect address for me to mail you something. But guess what? When I mail it to you, and people give me the incorrect address all the time, when I mail it to you, it's gonna take a week. It's gonna take 2 weeks. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Anyway. Earnings and interest. The Cuban average Cuban salary is around $29. Oh, a month? They make $30 a month? Holy shit. Internet access remains restricted for most, with only select professionals enjoying this privilege. How much is... I'm kind of feeling like I want to go down there. Traveling in style, many Cubans don't own cars. Instead, they opt for horse carriages, bicycle taxis, or buses for transportation. The bodega system. About half of Cuban food comes from a government-subsidized bodegas where Cubans can ration books to access affordable daily staples. Cuban cigars, we all know about them. Casas particulares. Since 1997, Cubans have been allowed to rent rooms in their homes to tourists, known as casas particulares, or particulares, yeah, which is traveler accommodations. Free essentials, education, and medical care are provided for free. Subsidized bills, such as electricity, gas, and phone services, are mostly subsidized by the government, with the total monthly cost averaging around $2. That's pretty fantastic. Cuban is a land of surprises, blending a rich history with a unique contemporary tapestry. We invite you to explore blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's look at some flights. And then we'll go into the vlogs. Flights to Cuba. I might not be able to get one. Under $1,000. Hold on. Prices are high? Prices are high right now? $500? $500? That's crazy. Hold on. An international flight for under $1,500 is a good deal. $500 to go to Cuba is fucking cheap. So cheap. Still so cheap. It's gotta be dangerous. Hold on. What's the crime like? Crime in Cuba. Well. The late leader of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro, was once famously called Cuba the safest country in the world. In terms of the island, let's look at the. There's no crime in Cuba. It is a communist country with the army standing in the streets, people with machine guns walking around. Okay. Human trafficking remains relevant in Cuba. Okay. Anywhere.com, U.S. Department of State. What does the government say about traveling there? Reconsider travel. Oh, well, right now, because of the tropical storm. Duh. Increase caution in Cuba due to crime. Follow the instructions of civil defense. Remain on weather road. Secure shelter. Flights could be impacted. Keep your friends and loved ones. Blah, blah, blah. Do not physically resist any robbery attempt. Do not display signs of wealth. Okay. So I think it's only level 3 because of the hurricane and earthquake that just hit there. They're probably getting a tsunami. Do tsunamis hit Cuba? Has no high risk of this kind of event. Okay. But wow, that's cheap. That is cheap as hell. From United too? Like if I wanted to go, I want to go February. I want to spend like 2-ish weeks there. What are we looking at? I can fly American, 10 hours, 2 stops in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Miami. Damn, son. I know a Cuban guy I could talk to about... Oh, he's never been there. But, what's the layover like? That's pretty sick. And I get to travel with, like, a good, reputable airline. How much would that cost? Well, I'm seriously considering... If I'm flying 10 hours, returning flight doesn't matter. Cheapest flight. When am I landing back? Midnight. Let's do 11 a.m. Yeah, let's do that one. Oh, 20-hour flight. Fuck that. Never mind. Let's do this one. What is... I want to see how much it costs for, like... I want to go first class. Not first class, but like we'll see. Nope, hold on. Go back. Go back. Continue. Dismiss. Continue. Well, now let me pick first class. I want to see what first class goes for. Fine. Oh, did I just... Oh, okay. Can I adjust the first class rates? I guess not. I guess I would book the flight and then try and upgrade when I'm on the plane. That's a good move, by the way. If you travel a lot, book like a flight that you're comfortable with, and then just see what they have for upgrades. Like, hey, how much is an upgrade? Blah, blah, blah. And then they keep you in mind for when they're like, hey, we could upgrade this guy for free. And it'd be a cool thing to do. A lot of other people try this trick. I'm usually like the only guy asking, but there is a lot of like older white ladies asking with me. So I think the word has been passed around. You gotta just trust older white ladies. They were bystanders to slavery. You gotta call them out on that. I have things I want to say about slavery, but we're gonna move on. I think Cuba. Speaking of slavery, Cuban slavery. We're gonna go into that. We're gonna go into that a little bit. But now that we know, okay, it's cheap to fly there. Food is cheap there. I mean, in one of these videos, it's like $1 for coffee or something. Let's see. I think it's important to, when you're looking at vlogs, you want to get different ethnicities vlogging. Because my buddy, he's Filipino, he went to Italy. He said that they were really, really rude to him. And I'm wondering, is it, because there's two things that affect that. One, the fact that he's Asian, and two, the fact that he's brown. Now, were they rude to him for being brown, or were they rude to him for being Asian? I'm not sure. But that is something to consider. So we got some whites, then we have a black dude, and I want to see the difference.
Last day in Cuba, and we by no means claim to be experts on this crazy, unique, complicated, beautiful country.
Wow, I mean, look at that. That's so pretty. You got all the different colors and like the big, creepy Gothic building in the back.
And one of the biggest ones for me was how prevalent the cigar culture was here. I expected to show up in the country and everybody was going to be walking around smoking cigars, but it turns out that's not the case, at least anymore, and that's because we learned from one of our guides that most of the locals here actually consider cigars a luxury. So unless somebody is actually working in the tobacco industry and they can get them at a very reduced price, you're not going to see a lot of locals walking around smoking cigars. It turns out it's mainly for the tourists.
When I pictured the style in Cuba, I've always pictured fedoras and white clothes. And it turns out it's true. There are a ton of people wearing the traditional fedoras and a lot of people wearing white clothes too. But it's not...
I wouldn't say traditional, it's more like stereotypical.
...what you think. The white clothes actually stem back to a religion called Afro-Cuban, which is the most...
Okay, I guess it is traditional.
...prevalent religion to this day in Cuba. And when you're entering...
Afro-Cuban? Santeria. Oh, yeah. There's also a, oh, I want a, Santeria video. No. Cuban Santeria video. I don't want the YouTube one. I want like the fucked up one. Okay. Well, we'll get to that later.
Into it for the very first year, you have to wear all white. So that's why a lot of tourists, when they come here, think that white is just the style and feel like they need to wear white pants.
Dear 20.
Ads. One letter away from AIDS. One letter away from AIDS. And the whole country has ads now. The whole country. Okay.
They sell you cocktails on the street and you can just walk around with them.
And they're super cheap.
So everyone knows that Cuba is full of these really old, cool American cars. But what most people don't realize is that for every old American car, there's one of these old Russian cars. I had no idea that these were here. I think they're just not as well known because the other cars are much more popular on Instagram.
Cubans spend a lot of time waiting in line. Whether you're waiting in line for a Wi-Fi card like we are now, or whether you're going to the bank or a store, for some reason they only let a few people into each location at once, and so there ends up being this really long line outside of many of the stores. Even though it looks like a big jumbled mess behind me, it actually turns out that there's a really good system. So we've learned that when somebody new walks up to get in the line, they ask who's last, and if you're last, you're supposed to raise your hand. So then everybody kind of knows where they stand in line. That way you don't have to wait in this perfectly little single file line. Everybody can just kind of hang out where they're comfortable, but everybody knows exactly where they stand.
Let's talk about Cuban food. We have learned so much about the food culture here in Cuba because we went on a food tour. And when we first got here, it seemed like every other restaurant was an Italian restaurant, and we were so confused about why that is. Turns out, Italian ingredients for typical Italian food is very accessible here and very affordable. So there's pizza and pasta everywhere, which we love. Street pizza.
Boo. I'm so sick of Italian food. Boo. I mean, I love Italian food, but I mean, give me something different. Like, come on. I've had so much pizza in my life.
Has got to be our favorite that we've had here so far. And they fold it like a taco. Food here is really expensive, but you just have to know where to go. Where only ate at the touristy restaurants, you would probably leave thinking that the food here is really expensive, but you just have to know where to go, where the locals eat. Like this place, where you can get a coffee for 4 cents from a lady's window of her house. And it's really good. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.
Oh, white Spanish is awful. Oh my god. Hasta luego, muchas gracias.
One of the most mind-blowing things that we've learned since being in Cuba is that Cuban sandwiches aren't Cuban. Apparently, Cuban Americans are actually the ones that...
Before we came to Cuba, I had heard that doctors here make less than $100 per month, and I had such a hard time believing that until we stayed with our first host, whose brother was a neurosurgeon, and when I asked him, his brother makes $80 per month. That's it, and it's amazing to me that anyone here in Cuba is still motivated to become a doctor.
After being here for a week, from what we've observed...
And that's good money. Most people only make $20 a month.
People who work in the tourism industry are the most well off, which means a lot of them are way overqualified for what they're doing. For example, our host in Viñales was a physics professor but made more money opening up his home to tourists than teaching. Then the guy who showed us around the coffee plantation was a computer science engineer. But I think the craziest thing of all is that you can make more money driving a taxi than being a neurosurgeon in Cuba.
One thing that is super unique
That's sad.
to Cuba, I don't think we've experienced it anywhere else in the world, is that they actually have 2 different currencies. They have the local Cuban peso, and then they have the tourist money. This is CUP, this is CUC. I thought before we came that I was going to need to get my hands on the local pesos and I was going to be able to save all kinds of money with it, but it turns out they're pretty much used interchangeably here. The locals are using the tourist money just as much as we are, so you don't have to worry about getting your hands on the local pesos. It might save you a little bit of money in street food, but for the most part, if you're using the tourist money, you're not going to be ripped off.
Okay, I know this is a little weird, but when we were planning this trip, we read that there was like no toilet paper in Cuba. Bring your own toilet paper. And I've been carrying it around, but there's been toilet paper everywhere. We haven't been without it a single time.
She's wasting the toilet paper, lady. Hey, you can't be There's no toilet. People say there's no toilet paper here, and here you are wasting all that toilet. Are you going to re-roll that toilet paper, lady? Come on.
For it, like a few cents, but there's not been a single bathroom without toilet paper in it, so don't worry. You don't have to bring your own toilet paper.
Recklessly American using your toilet paper like a whore. Toilet paper whore. That's terrible. I'm sorry. Okay.
When we
Playing baseball.
first stepped foot in Cuba, one of the first things
She's
that
getting
we
sunburned.
noticed is how many people were just outside. Kids were playing outside in the yard. People were sitting on the side of the road just having conversations with each other.
They don't
when
have
we would
internet.
go into a restaurant, Ooh, that's really low. People would be having conversations and not sitting on their phone, and that is because Wi-Fi in Cuba is pretty new and very restricted. If you want to get connected to Wi-Fi, you have to wait in a really long line and get one of these cards. One card equals 1 hour of internet, but you can only use them in certain Wi-Fi zones, such as these Wi-Fi parks. They're very easy to spot. There are lots throughout the city, and it's just a bunch of people sitting on benches, nose down in their phone, making the most of the Wi-Fi that they paid for. And we had heard before we came to Cuba that it wasn't even worth spending the time to get one of these because the Wi-Fi was really slow, you couldn't even do anything. But we have not found that to be the case at all. We think it's actually pretty fast. We even watched a YouTube video. Being without internet.
This is a very informative one. Oh, safety. Here we go.
We typically don't take our expensive camera gear out at night because we don't feel like that's a very wise thing to do in any big city in the world, but that's another thing that's really surprised us about Havana is just how safe everyone's told us that it is. From reading stuff on the internet and from talking to our host, apparently the city is super safe even at night. Our host told us it was no problem to take our camera out, but it just feels so wrong. Like honestly, the streets here at night look sketchy. It feels like a place that should be unsafe. And so when we're toting our gear around, I'm still feeling like a little uncomfortable. Don't take this as a direct recommendation to go flaunting all of your expensive stuff while you're in Cuba, but it's just interesting to note. And so far, nothing's happened to make us feel unsafe.
Our time in Cuba is officially coming to an end.
Okay. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I still want to go there. But let's see what a black man's experience is like in Cuba.
I bet you can guess where I am from the title, but yes, I'm back in La Habana. In this video, we're going to go to the boulevard.
He went back. He went back to Havana. So I think that says something.
Okay, Havana is definitely one of my most favorite places in the world. And
there we go.
I'm going to show you guys why. In La Habana, the streets have so much energy. Around every corner is...
What is up with this guy's voice? The streets have so much energy. Yeah.
A new mystery. And
take your clothes off.
I'm not even being poetic. Around the next corner could be my future wife or a huge street fight. You never know in La Habana. So here cuts here.
Okay. Wait, hold on. So they were just saying pretty safe. He's saying there's fights around the corner.
They're like the equivalent of, I don't know, maybe like $1.50. Of course, I have to be careful here because I have certain individuals looking for me now in Havana. Now, coming back to these streets is almost like a nostalgic act for me. Not because it reminds me of my earlier trips to Havana, but because it reminds me of my childhood a lot in Brooklyn. With, the community just, being in love with each other.
It's like Brooklyn? I hear Brooklyn's not safe at all.
Or in Jamaica.
It is now, but like not back in the day.
Where everybody is family to some degree. And everybody is close, right? Everybody respects the neighborhood drug addict. Okay? They're a member of the community despite their issue. Now, I could have liked to stay in Vedado. However, I feel like Vedado is sort of...
He is dripping in sweat. Like when the sweat isn't coming from your pit and it's coming from the top of your shoulder. Oh, he might have been doing one of those. Yeah, he probably did one of those.
Diet Cuba. When you go to Vedado, you don't get that real feel that is Havana. Okay, you get sort of a diet experience that doesn't encapture all of the vibe, all of the flavor that is La Habana. Let me know if you disagree in the comments below.
They got marble? You know how I feel about marble. Oh my god.
Engaging in the arts is one of the few ways that Cubanos, especially from the lower and lower middle classes, can earn capital in a dignified way. My little way of injecting my dinero into the Cuban economy looks like this at times. However, at times, I see my tourist brethren completely misbehaving. And depending on your morals, you can get whatever you want, when you want it, how you want it here. Of course, I'm religious and I can't engage in certain behavior.
Ah, prostitución.
Bueno, mi gente, buenas tardes. Por aquí le habla Raylon Henry. Acabo de conocer Kinner. Acabo de conocer a Kinner, que lo vi saliendo de una parte aquí céntrica de la capital y me fijé que estaba grabando y dije, tiene que ser youtuber. Pero sí.
speed and aggression. I'll explain the details of these young ladies calling me over to their table. However, let's let this band do its thing. Let's let the slow build happen. Listen.
Ah, okay. More ads. Yeah, maybe I will get YouTube Red just so this doesn't happen live. Okay, where were we?
Will tell you that the vibe
of ripping you. It doesn't take long before people try to sell you tobacco, before girls start picking at you, trying to take you home. It's crazy.
My Havana Connect, who I trust with my life, plus my dearest little Alina, will tell you that the vibe in La Habana is in the rooftop.
It's getting very annoying whenever he says La Havana.
So when they told me that the vibe is in the rooftops here in Old Havana, Centro Havana, it's real, okay? Let me show you the spot that I'm at. Influence here there is, it's very infrequent.
Good materials, the food in Cuba tends to be bad. However, the seafood at certain paladars tend to be somewhere close to average. If you need a list of good restaurants in Havana, just check my list below. And in very Havana fashion, although this place is beautiful, the water in the bathroom barely works. That's Cuba.
Which means he didn't wash his hands. That's all that means, is that he didn't really wash his hands.
See, this shit was a super cute spot. I think I'm gonna come back when I have some more beautiful looking company. Not you guys. The viejo's getting it.
Alright, it's more so just showcasing like the music and the vibes. Okay. The Secret, hold on, what? Same guy, Secret Life of Cuban Women in...
Hello everyone, welcome back to...
This guy's always in Cuba. What the hell is going on with him? Okay, but I want to see this. The Cuba they don't want you to see. Is this like a street walking thing? Yeah, this is just one of those walkthroughs. Old-timey cars and whatnot. Okay. Okay, we get it, we get it. So, next, in their news, it's all basically... it's all about the hurricane that's hitting them, as well as this earthquake. So let's take a look at this.
Hey. Hello. Hello, this is...
Who the fuck is this?
Disaster Central Live for,
This does not... Never mind. I take it back. Poor Cuba and its people. Can you get someone who can speak unprofessional video? Hopefully Russia will help them because they are no allies of the United States. What? Who the fuck is this? That was 2 hours ago. When was this video posted? 5 hours ago.
Earthquake coverage
of Cuba.
Yeah, and just do want to quickly point out that this earthquake has potentially been felt by over 6 million people, at least according to Global Quake, and has been heavily felt by around maybe a little over half a million people.
Yikes. Hold on. What is it? What is rural Cuba like?
If only we had more time to innovate.
Blah, 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 blah.
No trade-in needed to get the new iPhone 6.
Oh my god! I feel like the ads are ramping up. It's like they know. They know I don't want to hear them, and they're just putting them in front of my face. Okay. Those are underwear. Oh, they're granny panties waving in the wind. Ah, nice athletic chicken, yeah. That chicken meat's gonna taste terrible. I'm gonna mute this because that's probably copyright music. Very old-fashioned. Okay. I bet that's 2 cents, 5 cents. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's probably just very pretty. It's a small country. How big is this country? Google has like a good 100 miles. Actually, it's pretty big. It's probably like 500 miles long. Which, again, pretty small, but like let's compare that to Austin. Austin is like 10, it's like a 10 by 15, maybe like a 15 by 15 size city, which would probably take up a big chunk of Cuba, but still small for a country, but like it's like another state almost. It's the size of an American state, smaller one. Okay. And then what is Cuba like today? Well, we'll move on from the vlogs. I want to learn about this Santeria stuff. So first of all, what is Santeria? It's an Afro-Cuban religion that combines West African beliefs and elements of Catholicism. It's an integral part of Cuban culture and is woven into the island's language. Here are some aspects of Santeria. Orisha. Practitioners seek guidance from Orishas, sacred beings that control nature and human endeavors. Devotees to Orishas can provide protection, wisdom, success, and guidance in times of crisis. Altar creation. Practitioners may create elaborate altars or thrones to honor Orishas. Bata drums. Practitioners communicate with deities through the rhythmic language of bata drums. Sacrifice. Some rituals require the sacrifice of animals to honor and nourish divinities or to ward off negative influences. If you watch like Law and Order SVU or something, or like they demonize Santeria because of sacrifice. Santeria developed in secret in early times when Catholicism was the only religion permitted on the island by the Spanish colonial government. The religion's informal nature makes it difficult to pin down definitive numbers of practitioners, but the U.S. Commission of International Religious Freedom estimates that 70% of Cubans practice some version of Santeria. Okay. And let's find a couple of these. I mean, the one with the lady screaming on the cover seems like a good one, but I don't really want like the YouTube version of it. You know what I mean? The Rise of Santeria in Cuba. Let's see. Woman is possessed and practicing Cuban Santeria. I want to see like an uncensored Santeria video. Joey Diaz also has a great thing about Santeria. Let's see. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. I don't want to find it on YouTube. Yeah, they really don't want to show this off. Maybe it's really fucked up. Maybe I shouldn't be looking for this. But I was able to find, you know, a caning video. During, like, the Singapore episode, I was able to find a caning video. So it's not like these videos don't exist, but it is very, very private, so maybe that's why I'm having a hard time finding it. Okay. No, take me to YouTube. Where was the video I was wanting to watch? Ugh. I don't know if I want to see this. It's on YouTube, so it can't be that bad. Damn, that kid's jacked. Is that his son? Why is this kid so ripped?
This is the beginning of a religious ceremony.
Yeah, this seems very... This is the beginning of the end. Prepare yourself. For what you're about to see could be described as demonic.
The religion is Santeria. To fully understand the mystique of Castro's power, one has to be aware of the influence of Santeria on Cuban's African soul. This man, Enriquito, is a high priest, a babalao.
The same number of blacks as whites. So in the mountains, they all met like brothers.
They beat racism.
And fought together to achieve this triumph. That our Comandante Fidel Castro, as the principal leader, has been able to achieve. As a believer.
Okay, let's go back. Let's see the other one. Every Friday there is a holy ritual.
Requires a ritual. Santeria, a fusion of African folk religions and Catholicism. The religion has grown in popularity and expanded to new demographics it previously did not reach.
There's this underlying sense of the individual has the power, agency, and decision-making process to make of it what they want it to be. And I think that is the power of this religion. And it is what has allowed it to survive, change, transform over the last 500 years.
Santeria was born as a form of resistance among black communities. The religion dates.
Okay. Cuban Santeria sacrifice. I'm trying not to be disrespectful, but I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to know. I want to know. 2 arrested in Santeria ceremony. That's yeah. Let's see that one. The dangers of Santeria. Okay. Cult sacrifice. Animal control seizes goats. You can't do that. Just a lot of YouTube. Come on. I want something exposing demons in disguise. Okay, let's see that. Yeah. All right. I'm feeling it. Oh, this is the news channel. I don't think we can show that. But we'll go to this.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to hear because
this is cultish podcast, I assume.
Ash got me hooked up with you. Shout out to
awesome.
Ash. But yeah, so you've got interesting.
Come on, it's just the. I want some real. I want something real. Come on. This is see, this is what I'm saying is when like sometimes you have like the hardest time sorting through this stuff. Just like get to the video. Maybe I need to open up a different kind of browser. Hold on. Let's try. Will Microsoft Edge take me there? How about this? More of the same, honestly. I'm not really seeing much of a difference. Joey Diaz popped up again. Okay, let's try DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Okay. Let's try it again. Videos. I don't want YouTube. And it's definitely not going to be on TikTok. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get there. It's so deeply hidden and such a private thing, I don't think they'd let anyone film it. What about this? This is... Okay, let's see this. This is voodoo in the street? They blow smoke on the thing. Yeah, there's a thing where you blow smoke on the thing. Man, this guy's everywhere. Okay. I mean, I hope I'm not being disrespectful. I want to see more. I want to go deeper into what's going on. Because people, I mean, the government has, arrested people and persecuted people for sacrifice, and I'm wondering, is it because of the nature of the sacrifice? Do they I doubt they're like ripping the chicken in half and being like, ah. It's probably some type of you chop the head off. I mean, they said they found a chicken head in the ocean in one of those articles and videos, but who knows? I don't know. I'm gonna leave it alone. But I think we're gonna end the episode there. Updates coming about the podcast coming soon. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.